Session 82, Surah Fatiha, the Qur'an summarized. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We begin with the name of Allah, who is most gracious and merciful. Nahmaduhu nusalli ala rasulihil kareem, and praises and blessings on Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the last and final prophet. Today we begin with Surah Yasin, 36th Surah of Qur'an, that is Surah Yasin, which is generally termed as the heart of Qur'an. And we are on the main subject of Surah Fatiha's verses 6 and 7. إِذِنَ الصِّرَاطَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. That is, the path of those whom you have rewarded, not the ones who earned your annoyance, nor those who went astray. Surah Yasin will be covered in about 8 sessions, from session 82 to about session 88, about 6 sessions. Yasin, 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 wal Qur'an al Hakim. Translation: It is sworn by the Qur'an, the book of solid, unquestionable wisdom, that these double-dyed people who deny, refute your prophethood, Muhammad, are inherently and ominously wrong. Innaka laminal mursaleen, verse 3. I swear by the Quran, you are surely among the true prophets of Allah. They should have no doubts, misconceptions about it. Verse 4, Allah siratim mustaqim, and you are absolutely on the straight, righteous, solid, praiseworthy, rewarding path, faith. Those who follow Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, actually follow the immanent Allah, permanently present throughout the universes, and should incur no doubts and harbor no fears. For the Quran and the Prophet, peace be upon him, would guide them to Allah, on to eternal safety, eternal reward, and non-terminating bliss. The motto of every believer has to be, follow the Prophet, peace be upon him. Follow the Prophet all the time, everywhere, in all things, all places, and occasions. I repeat, follow the Prophet, peace be upon him, all the time, everywhere, in all things, all places, and occasions. People search for the truly pious, genuinely righteous, reliable, and absolutely trustworthy religious guides, saints, peers. Their litmus test is adherence to Sunnah. The litmus test is adherence to Sunnah. The closer the individual in precise adherence to Sunnah, the higher his pedestal and religious perch. I repeat, the closer the individual in precise adherence to Sunnah, the higher his pedestal and religious perch. However, the Prophet, peace be upon him, advised the believers to be kind, considerate, and accommodative in judging the ulul amr, that is, those in authority, according to Sharia, in judging those in authority according to Sharia. The believers await Amirul Mu'mineen, the caliphs, like Abu Bakr Siddiq Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu, Umar Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu, Usman Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu, and Ali Murtaza Raziyallahu Ta'ala in the 21st century. They can have such people if they themselves achieve closeness to Khalid bin Walid Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu, Abu Dujana Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu, Saad bin Abi Waqas, Usama bin Zaid, Abu Huraira, Bilal, Anas, Sumayya, Amara, and Safiya Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhus. And they can also achieve closeness to the latter if the believers put themselves on the Quranic track and adhere to Sunnah. And they can also achieve closeness to the latter if the believers put themselves on the Quranic track and adhere to Sunnah and reorientate their system of educating and grooming the coming generations. It was through Qur'an that the Qur'an incarnate, the living Qur'an, walking Qur'an, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, imbued the believers with the fear and love of Allah that galvanized them into historic preeminence. And it will always be through Qur'an and adherence to Sunnah that the believers would be imbibed to fight it out with the rival civilizations in all the fields of their survival. For Qur'an is a decreed and prescribed strategy from Allah, but only for those who fear Him, who do not lose sight of the hereafter and desire to succeed. But only for those who fear Him, who do not lose sight of the hereafter and desire to succeed. Verse 5. Tanzil al-Aziz al-Rahim. Quran is also a sign, a proof, an evidence, a manifestation of your prophethood, O Muhammad. For it has been downloaded by the mightiest of all. For it has been downloaded by the mightiest of all. Those can afford, none can afford to disobey him. None can afford to disobey him. Yet he is also extremely merciful. It is on account of his mercy that he has made elaborate arrangements for man's guidance. The Quran elucidates both of these attributes of Allah at various places, time and again. Verse 6. لِتُنْذِرَ قَوْمًا مَا أُنْذِرَ آبَاؤُهُمْ فَهُمْ غَافِلُونَ. You have been ordained a prophet, and the Quran sent down. You have been ordained a prophet, O Muhammad, and the Quran sent down so that you warn, imbibe people with fear of Allah, whose forefathers have not been warned directly by any messenger. So they are heedless. The Arab land didn't have a prophet after Prophet Ismail around 1700 BC. Verse 7. لَقَدْ حَقَّ الْقَوْلُ عَلَىٰ أَكْثَرِهِمْ فَهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Translation: You will definitely endeavor to make them fear the ramifications of their evil deeds and doings. I repeat, you will definitely endeavor to make them fear the ramifications of their evil deeds and doings. But, in fact, the word has been proved true against a majority of these people who are arrogant. They'll not be shaken up, they'll not listen, so they do not believe, will not adopt their truth. So they do not believe, will not adopt their truth. Explanation. They are absolutely under satanic control. They think they are taking their own decisions without any external influence. Actually, it is a sham of liberty. Actually, it is a sham of liberty. The devil holds them by the nose. It is because they have not been careful about themselves. It is because they have not been careful about themselves, got off guard, and the devil gripped them, got off guard, and the devil gripped them. Quran's prediction and Satan's perception that the majority is damned to perdition, everlasting punishment after death, holds fast, for a majority really disbelieves in the hereafter. Quran's prediction and Satan's perception that the majority is damned to perdition, everlasting punishment after death, holds fast, for a majority really disbelieves in the hereafter, doesn't take the hereafter seriously at all, doesn't take the hereafter seriously at all. They mangle the good with the evil. They mangle the good with the evil and turn perennially blind. They never bother to know what Allah the Almighty and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, have to say. That is the Qur'an and Ahadith, sayings of the Prophet. They study all philosophers, all theories, all ideologies, find every source of knowledge, and become pseudo-intellectuals, missing deliberately just one book, the Qur'an. I repeat, they study all philosophers, all theories, all ideologies, find every source of knowledge, and become pseudo-intellectuals, missing deliberately just one book, the Quran. Actually, they are trapped by their own evil deeds and have lost out to their diabolical instincts and satanic inspirations. They have closed for themselves all options of righteousness, of good deeds and piety. They'll never turn to the covenant of their souls with Allah, that He was their only God and none else. When they have blighted themselves, when they have blighted everything good around, and when all their God-gifted qualities, instincts, and senses have become an antithesis to the word of Allah, the Quran, Allah has now sealed them in a state of psychosis, that is mental illness affecting the whole body, in a state of psychosis, that is mental illness affecting the whole body, and along with it their fates, He has blinded and blocked them all. Verse 8, Inna jalna fi anakim aglalan fahiya ilal azkani fahum mukmahun. Translation, they have lost all their perceptions. We have put a yoke around their necks of diabolic habits and customs, blind love for power and wealth. We have put a yoke around their necks of diabolic habits and customs, blind love for power and wealth, adherence to abominable traditions and rituals of their forefathers. As these have tightened the nozzle around their necks up to the chins, and these have tightened the nozzle around their necks up to the chins. And because of the iron rods of pride and arrogance in their necks, their heads are fixed upwards, and that they cannot see even their own selves anymore. Neither their grave limitations are the yokes metaphorically. Their grave limitations are the yokes metaphorically. In the hereafter, these may become yokes literally. In the hereafter, these may become yokes literally. They are encapsulated in sins. They cannot look at themselves critically and evaluate or assess their own deeds now. Verse 9, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ سَدًّا وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ سَدًّا فَأَغْشَيْنَاهُمْ فَهُمْ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. Translation: apart from the fact that the majority of these people cannot look at themselves, they can't even see the straight path or reach the truth in any way from any direction. And so we have raised in front of them and behind them and on their top, that's heads, in fact, all around, walls, barriers of their own absolutely jaundiced, prejudiced, false perceptions and blind alleys based totally on the ignorance of their forefathers and their own blindness as a bat. And their own blindness as a bat. So they cannot see. They can't perceive, understand anything at all. Verse 10, وَسْوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Translation: and because of their own barriers of perverse orientation, arrogance, whether you admonish them or you don't, it is non-consequential, immaterial, irrelevant for them. It is non-consequential, immaterial, irrelevant for them. They wouldn't believe. It doesn't imply dissuading the believers to preach if a people appear heedless. It doesn't apply dissuading the believers to preach if a people appear heedless. The message must reach all, for that is a believer's duty. Those who are ousted by the barriers around the hiddenness may heckle, interrupt, and harass, and would not budge from disbelieving. It is a believer's duty to convey the message of Allah. It is a believer's duty to convey the message of Allah. It is the pleasure of Allah which is consequential. The results are secondary. I repeat, it is the pleasure of Allah which is consequential. The results are secondary. There may be others who may listen and ponder for the fear of Allah. So persuade those who understand and fear the exceedingly kind. Such are the blessed people. Such are the blessed people. The last verse for today, verse 11. إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم. Translation: So you can only admonish, warn, be effectual with the perceptive, those who follow the reminder and who fear the exceedingly merciful, his punishment hereafter, without having seen him, and his hell. So, I repeat, you can only admonish, warn the effectual with the perceptive, those who follow the reminder and who fear the exceedingly merciful, his punishment hereafter, without having seen him and his hell. So, convey to such people the glad, great tidings of forgiveness and an honorable, generous reward. For those who fear Allah, the word of Allah, Qur'an, bequeathed, left by the Prophet, peace be upon him, is a good enough Imam leader and the required beacon light. For those who fear Allah, the word of Allah, Qur'an, bequeathed, left by the Prophet, peace be upon him, is a good enough Imam, a good enough leader, guide, and the required beacon light. That's all for today. Jazakallah. Please pray for me, ex-Brigadier Mustansir Billah.